Hi there, welcome back. Welcome to the third and I believe the last video in the series of the restoration of the Wega Herold K. And if you saw the last video, you'll notice a few changes. Some of the cleaning's been done. So when I finished off in the last video, I'd done the the transplant of the tuning cap. And now it looks like it's always been there. It's the same type of cap, so it fit quite well. And there was a heck of a lot of cleaning to do, which is what I got stuck into. And as you can see, it looks slightly different. A lot of cleaning has been done. Now, there's still some marks, but you've got to be careful with this thing. This thing is, what is the term? It's a coating. There's a coating on there, and if you actually scrub too far down, you get into the metal, and then you're going to cause rust to start up. So this thing's going to be left with the patina of age on there, but it's as clean as it's going to get. And of course, we can go further and look at some more details. The knobs have been cleaned out and polished. Those centers were completely black. This was with the Dremel and my super duper scrubbing brushes that cost about 5 cents each, or 3 cents each, whatever it is. Those little rings were painted on with gold paint, and then you clean off the excess with a toothpick or something like that. So that came out very well. The knobs, again, fully cleaned. That one that's depressed, the medium wave, was it was actually broken on the inside, so it was filled with it's actually a wood filler because it's slightly more flexible. And then a little bit of glue, and it's stuck on there. The dial glass properly washed and cleaned, with great care being taken not to get water on the backside, because those letters and paintings can come off. Had that enough times before and didn't want to repeat that. That light diffuser I had to remake, and this was made of the food wrap, kitchen wrap. I stuck about 4 layers together, cut it to size, and put it in there. And then the cabinet. Lots of elbow grease on here. I think I've done my gymnastics for the week. All the Bakelite was polished. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the Bakelite. There isn't one little chip on there. That was polished with the Dremel and the brush. This thing came out very nicely. And after it's done, I spray some transparent lacquer on there just to avoid tarnishing. So this thing is ready now to receive the rest. And the rest is the front plate. Now the front plate has these 2 wooden sections which are removed, sanded down to the wood, and then I didn't actually stain this. I used transparent varnish because I like the original color. It doesn't really need any coloring. Came out very nicely. And finally, the front grille cover, which I had to remove all the grille cloth from. This is now the replacement. And the replacement was obtained from from the same parts radio that I've been using all those parts for. It had a fantastically clean grille cloth. So that front plate, I removed the speakers, put it in water, it unglued, and then I took it out, glued it on here. It actually had a magic eye window like this one, so I placed the window in the original spot and then stuck the rest on, and then of course cut the excess off after gluing it onto the back. So this thing is in perfect condition. And of course that was polished as well and sprayed with transparent lacquer. Now all these little jobs are, well, they're slow. Even that thing had to be done so that all the brass looks the same. And again, lacquer, transparent lacquer to avoid tarnishing. All these have to be done, and they are, well, some people love it, some people hate it. I'm sort of somewhere in between, but this is the part that actually gives the most satisfaction when you get it done, although it is a pain to do it. So I'm pleased. I'm really pleased with that. It's time to put this whole thing together. And then, of course, we've still got the some alignment to do, and there's a bit of a surprise there. A little bit of an unexpected quirk, but we'll get to that. And then we'll be ready to put this in and attach the Bluetooth, which is here and ready to go, but I'll give you a bit of description of this. Let's get cracking. And here we have it from the back. Everything is mounted, screwed on, in place with the original screws. It's looking good from here. Let's see what it looks like from the front. Now that is quite something. Everything looks fabulous. The parts of the grill cloth that were discolored because of the light, those are behind the panels. So this grill cloth looks like it's brand new. Literally looks like it's brand new. Fabulous. Magic eye holder. I like the contrast between the wood and the Bakelite. Comes out very, very nicely. And then, of course, the main logo over there. So this thing's ready to receive the cabinet, but before I put the cabinet in here, I'm going to check the alignment and add the Bluetooth. So I set everything up for the alignment, just to check the alignment because we are receiving quite well. And to do that, I have got the signal generator. I've set to, well, it's pumping out a 455 kilohertz carrier, very low amplitude, 1.4 millivolts RMS, which is the least that this thing can do. Its modulated type is AM modulation, and at a depth of 30%, a 600 hertz signal, and it happens to be a sine wave signal. All well and good so far, but that signal's too high usually, so I take it through this little attenuator, which I start off with about 30 dB attenuation. You've got to make this as small as possible so you don't mess with the AGC circuit. And then that goes in, and it goes into the grid of the mixer oscillator over there, which happens to be the ECH42. And of course the black one is the ground of the signal generator. Now this thing's got to be AC coupled, and the little attenuator block here has got a capacitor in line. You do not connect it direct because you might blow your signal generator. All well and good. I'm feeding this carrier with a 600 hertz modulated signal on it, which is what I should hear or see at the other end. Now, I can tell you now, I saw nothing. I put the radio, turned the radio on, I left it on medium wave, the dial is about in the middle, and I put the volume up on max because I wanted to measure the output signal. In other words, the audio. I should see a sine wave over there. And what happened is, this is what I normally do, okay? And I saw nothing. And also, in this particular case, I'm using the AC voltmeter. It just helps because you get a nice swing on there. And this is the Nordmende EM3366, which I restored in a video recently. And I'm using it for the first time, actually. And I saw nothing, and this was really weird. So I went over here, and I said, okay, this thing might be misaligned. And then what I do is, everything's set, and I look at the oscilloscope, which is looking at the output, right? So I start fiddling with the frequency. And lo and behold, I get something there. And if I carry on, it goes down. Now that's obviously a peak. So that's our peak. That's the frequency. That's the IF frequency that's getting through. Now watch this. It's at 483 kilohertz. Now the bloody hell, this is completely out of tune. So I went and fiddled a little bit with the with the coils, with the alignment, the IF transformer coils, and found that it was actually aligned to that frequency. So I went one step further and looked up some of the documentation on the radio, the little that I do have, and I found some really unexpected stuff. On that schematic that I have, which is not for the exact one that I have here, but it's pretty close, what I find is they talk about, if you look at that, they talk about the coils being, in this particular one it had FM, so it's got the 10.7 megahertz at the top, and it's got 473 kilohertz. 473 kilohertz. And then I started looking on the web, and all this series, the Herolds with FM, are IF 473. So that is actually out, but it is aligned to a frequency different to what I'm used to, which is, 455, 460, 462, I remember. So yeah, okay, so I'm doing everything and I'm trying to get this to 473. So we'll keep an eye on the voltmeter and see what happens. Now, when I put it at 473, when I start feeding 473, I see absolutely nothing on the scope or here. So to get it to actually show, I need to decrease the attenuation. So I'm basically increasing the signal strength. And now I can see the sine wave sort of flickering on the scope. And I can see a reading here, but it's at zero attenuation. This is a very, very hot signal coming in here. And as I start tuning, I will have to increase attenuation on this. So I'm going to start with the underside, and I'm doing that last IF transformer. The underside, look at this. I'm just turning the 1. I need to increase attenuation. I'm giving it 6 dB, and I probably will have to give it more. So I'm going to do the 2 undersides and then the 2 top end ones. And we should see a heck of a change. I'm using this wooden homemade screw from a kebab stick. So get in there again. There's our peak on there. Let's try the other underside one. I'm just doing both undersides because it's easier for me right now. Oh dear, yeah, that's too high. I'm going to give it 12 dB attenuation, and I'm going to keep going. There's a peak there. And now I'm going to go to the top side, the top end, and do the same. Hopefully I can see these guys. Okay, I need to give it 18 dBs of attenuation now. There's a peak. Screwdriver slipped. There's my peak, thereabouts. And now the other one. Oh God, I need to give it, I'm going to give it, what is it, 24 dBs of attenuation. There's my peak. And now I'm going to do it all over again on the underside, because by now one affects the other. They all sort of affect each other. So underside again. There's my peak. Didn't change too much, that. Actually, it didn't change at all. Let's go to the top. There we go, and the last one. Well, that pretty much stayed the same as the first time around. So we've got our radio aligned. Let's do a quick test. Now this is, what is it, mid-morning? Not sure what we get on shortwave. Certainly get very little on medium wave, but we can give it a try. It's now aligned to 473. Got it on. Let's put in the mini whip antenna. Whoa. The ground of the mini whip quietens it down. Ha! Certainly a lot better. This is the local station. Canary Islands. Don't know where that is. This is receiving very, very well. Let's try, what is going to be 2, I think, shortwave 2. I'll do a test on this later. Whoa. This is in the sort of 21 megahertz range, 13 meter band. Yeah. 16 meter band. 19 meters. This has got to do with the time of day, obviously. If I try shortwave, the 5 megahertz to 12, there's very little down here till I get to about 8. .25-meter bands. It's better up in the higher frequencies this time of day. But yeah, this thing's working very well. There's our local channel. So the alignment has made a difference. And what I've noticed is that let's see, 1540. Just to give you an idea, this, I've got it tuned to that local station. And what you read on the dial is 1550, 60. The dial is slightly bent because it's a very long dial. If you look at the bottom, it's sort of more to the right. It's leaning to the left. So I suppose you could say that the dial should be there. And if it's there, it's at 1530. So this dial, the way it's set up, it's flapping around because it's a very long dial, suspended only on the one point at the bottom. So it's going to bend depending on which way you turn it. So what I'm saying is 1.53 megahertz is the frequency of our local station that we're hearing now. And it's showing, if the dial is straight, 1540. Therefore, I'm not doing an RF alignment. I am not going to align the whole front end for the sake of 10 kilohertz on one station that is anyway sort of over there. Everybody locally who listens to it, the 3 or 4 people, know it's over there. And then people like me who test tuning. In other words, I'm not doing the front end RF because A, it's not necessary in my opinion. B, those coils at the bottom are all stuck with pretty thick wax. It's on the underside, and if I mess with that, I could do more damage than good. So, that, my friends, is the end of this part of the electronic restoration. And here we have everything back together, the magic eye, and you'll probably have noticed I haven't mentioned the magic eye at all, and that's because I am not sure if it's working, and if it isn't, I don't have a spare. These things are the, I think it's EM11, so we'll see when we turn around and try it. And of course, the output transformers back on top there with the speaker wires connected. It fits perfectly. And then there's the neat cabling, contrary to what it was before. And now we get to the Bluetooth, and there we have the red and white going up, or the red and white stripe going up, and that's the power supply for the Bluetooth module, 6.3 volts AC. It's tied over there just so it doesn't flap around, and this is the module. It's actually stuck with double-sided tape to the side, away from any metal, as much metal as possible, so that we get the best reception on that antenna section. And then of course the audio out comes out here, also tied down there again to prevent it flapping, and it goes underneath. And of course its destination is that thing over there, the phono input. So it looks like we're ready to put the back on. I've cleaned the back, and then ready to turn this around and give it a final test. And here she is. And what a beauty it turned out to be. I really like the look of this. I like the contrast between the Bakelite and the wood panels, and then the grill cloth. It looks beautiful. So here we go. Switch it on. I've got it on medium wave. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the top end of the band, shortwave 1. I've got the mini-wap antenna in there.
Minuto 32 de la segunda mitad con tablas en el marcador, los saltos de Savic en propia meta.
This is about 12.4 megahertz and going up.
Da motar da aka dora wa bindiga mai sarrafa kanta inda suke documents in the privacy. The attack on the Guinean embassy was a breach of security and negligence.
That was 19 meter bands. (16-meter band), and now we're getting up to the top end, 22 megahertz. Don't expect much there. Let's go to 12 megahertz and come down on shortwave 2. Now the fact that we got quite a bit here means we probably won't get much on the lower frequencies this time of day. I was wrong.
Pero que sigue por debajo en el marcador, 3:19.
The temples were still thick, but almost half of it had turned grey.
31 meter bands.
Visibly during those 3 years of hardship. Turned for the better. But had all that suffering.
31 meter bands is actually very busy. It's just everything's close together.
Que quiere lograr la mínima para Tokio en la prueba de dos.
And then of course shortwave 3, which is 1.5 megahertz to 5.2, I expect absolutely nothing. got some amateur band here. Now medium wave. There's our local station. Canary Islands.
¿Cómo se va a comportar? Es decir, el tipo de antes de Camacho, ahora
propuesta requería además el fantástico y lujoso elenco, porque pocas.
And that's it. That is radio reception, which actually this time of day, 4:30 in the afternoon, we got what we expected. Medium wave is not too full, that gets fuller in the evening, and really full. The shortwave 3, which is 1.6 megahertz to that one there, 1.58 to 5.2, get very, very little any time of day these days. Shortwave 2, which is 5 to 12.2, that gets better later. And shortwave 1 is where we get most of the stuff here. 25 meters, 19, 16 meter band at this time of day. And that gets sort of fades out late in the evening and sort of moves on to the 25 and 31 and 41 meter bands. So, and then in the evening you sort of get something on 49 meter bands or so. So this thing is working very well with the mini whip. Bear in mind that without the mini whip here in the middle of the Atlantic, we won't get much. You can put a long wire antenna on there, that also works. But the mini whip just makes it a lot easier to get really good reception with a very small antenna. Now, all that's left is testing the Bluetooth. So we're going to our Bluetooth options, switch Bluetooth options on, switch on the radio. That sends power to the Bluetooth device. And there we have it, MH-M28. Click that. And it's now connected. Now, whatever we send music-wise on here, you'll hear it on the speaker. So let's go and look for some royalty-free music, which I have ready here. And let's try that. That, folks, is the end of another restoration project. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed this one because it let me be a surgeon doing all the transplants, which was actually quite surprising. It was just actually quite a bit of luck that the spares, one of the spare sets I had the output transformer and the tuning cap that matched quite well here. In fact, it matched perfectly. And the sound from this EL41, what is it? yeah, EL41 is actually quite amazing. It's also got to do with the speaker in here. But all in all, I'm really happy with this result. I always say the same thing, but I guess that's what I feel. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please subscribe, share, like, and all that jazz. And come back for more. Just one quick word on the projects I'm doing. I do not only do tube radio restorations. I do not only do vintage amp restorations. I do not only do anything. I do a bit of everything. So I know that's a bit difficult for you if you are only interested in one particular part of what I do. But please be patient. Everybody gets a bit. This is the way my mind works. I hop around from one subject to the other, all within the general concept of vintage electronics. And I have never given up on anything. I haven't stopped doing tube radios. I haven't stopped doing amps. I haven't stopped doing PCB projects. So every now and then, depending on my fancy and depending on what comes up, that's what I do and that's what I publish. And I really do hope that you enjoy it. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon. Bye for now.